In 1994, Padre Pellegrino, a great exorcist, died at the monastery which is on the Isle of San Giorgio near Venice. And he left what is referred to as the devil's catechism, things that he'd picked up from listening to the dark side in exorcism. What are the devil's likes? Communion in the hand. It seems that he pushed and is pushing that one. It allows him to desecrate the host when it falls to the ground and when it's easily taken for satanic rites. Hosts are always disappearing without people realizing it, and we know where they go. Many are not careful about where the tabernacle key is hidden, for instance. We need to be very careful, and each particle of the Blessed Sacrament is truly the body of the Lord, so the devil knows it full well. And this question of obliging people is questionable. It's not good to bully people at the altar. After all, it is a place of encounter with the Lord of love, and to make people suffer at that point is contradictory. Is the Lord being served by attitudes of ecclesiastical bullying? Priests clothed as street cleaners. This has been pushed also by the other side. A priest is in practice unavailable as a priest when he's well camouflaged. It also makes it more easy for him to do what he would not do if he were recognizably a priest. It has huge benefits for the dark side, and we know what they are. One does hear that the habit doesn't make the monk, but one can answer, no. However, it does contribute. Priests and bishops enrolled in his sects, the secret societies. We know that there has been infiltration and well orchestrated. One cannot serve two masters or live a double life. Unfortunately, we don't realize what we're up against. We know that for a good while it was a Freemason who was appointing bishops. Also, we know that Unini, who gave us the present Mass, was involved in Freemasonry. And on one could go. There are big names, and indeed there was a whole way of getting to key places the devil was very good at doing. They couldn't destroy the Catholic Church from without, and so it was to be from within. Miniskirts. Now it's just shorts, and very short shorts. It's all something which is orchestrated. Demons are in the air and using such things to come in to minds and cause shipwreck. And now it's become even more subtle because things are being viewed openly in the privacy of people's rooms, because all is on the smartphone and the computer. there is much infidelity, virtual infidelity, even in marriage. It destroys trust within a marriage. And people cannot engage with prayer when their imagination is full of strange things. Television. Now, he was operating before the internet took over. It's become far more complex now because screens are of a different nature and there is much addiction. Television already was destroying the life of the family, and now the life of even a couple is destroyed by the internet. Addiction to the virtual and all that's coming into the brain. What comes in stays in and creates havoc and devastates mental prayer, because the day is upside down and one is in the night still awake till the early hours of the morning. And if this kind of thing comes even into the consecrated life, where are we? The devil is very clever. It's easier not to start than to stop with some instruments. Discotheques. There is a similarity in the disco to the ritual of a sacred assembly, but in reverse. The DJ has almost priestly powers to orchestrate when people's defenses are down. Strange things happen in these discos, and these discos go into the hours of the morning, as we know, and people are available to the wrong side. Add to that the clouding of the brain with substances, and we know what portals are opened. Shipwreck for the soul. Divorce. The mentality is out there, ad experimentum. Stability has gone. And also that stability is difficult to find quite often in candidates for a vocation. Stability lacking at home leads to psychological instability in the candidate. When one is shunted backwards and forwards from one parent to the other, and bits of family here and there, it's not good for the soul. That central cell of society is cracking and failing. Old Nick is pushing hard. Many marriages can be saved if something is done in time. Unfortunately, once the mentality of divorce is there, the other option is just too available. Abortion. It's being used as a contraceptive means in practice quite often. And we know that every time that abortion takes place, the devil acquires, as it were, more power. It would seem that new demons are launched into the atmosphere. It's a sacrifice to him. Anything which is against life is pleasing to the demon. Assisted suicide. People might regret it when it comes to the injection because they signed it years earlier. Suicide. It's become a valid alternative for the young. And all kinds of easy methods are available. Moreover, one is given a good send-off. It's not a good message for the other young people. The pain left behind is something else. The demon pushes people over the edge. Come, solve this problem instantly. Drugs. In the Apocalypse we have a reference to pharmakoi. Well, these are drugs. well, the drug world is demon-filled. The consequences are unimaginable at times. Devastation it causes within couples and families. Many marriages are breaking up over the consequences of drug abuse. And there are borderline cases too of addiction. There is addiction to caffeine, to tobacco, to vaping. There are all kinds of things there that people are addicted to. They're all portals. Freedom from bondage is a grace to be implored. How many are free on earth? Bishops and priests who do his work for him, who in practice don't believe in him and his action, and therefore don't see the point of appointing exorcists, which gives him huge freedom. It would seem that there are bishops and priests in hell. This has been seen, and it's frightening when one thinks about it. They can be doing the work of the wrong side if they're giving bad messages, because people listen to them. The responsibility of a person in authority is huge. Politicians who declare themselves Christians and put in good speech using good values to convince people, and then working for the wrong side. Again, responsibility, because any authority is from the Lord, as the Lord reminds Pilate. Similarly, judges and magistrates who act unjustly. There are cases in Italy where the police do their work well to weed out people who are in the mafia or the Camorra, and find that when it comes to the judgment, the sentence, something goes wrong and a tiny sentence is given. One wonders why. The sects. There are people who are drawing Catholics away with apparent goodwill, but it's not fair to lead them away from the centre. And then all this activity, which is linked with New Age, is again a portal. People don't realize that with a little bit of apparent good, e.g. something for the health, other things can come in. And where there is no good catechetical formation, one believes anything. And that is what is happening. Syncretism. And it's called spirituality. The devil also is a spirit, and so are his minions, and there are bad angels as well as good ones. His dislikes, confession. It's difficult to find confession quite often nowadays, and in many places they are pushing collective celebrations which don't have proper confessions in them. It's not enough to say one sin when one has many sins on the conscience, especially grave ones. So it's all matter for further damage and compounding of sin, because people for years carrying unconfessed sin and receiving Blessed Sacrament are not doing good to their souls. Sacrilege is very pleasing to the demon, and he is trying his best to get confession out of the frequent practice of Christians. Make sure that they don't bother. God is mercy. Again, using bits of Catholic truth to give an incomplete and even a false message. The context of mercy is justice. And if there's mercy, it means that God is good in the application of his justice, but there's justice. And we forget that it's not for us to tell God how to judge people, which is what we do at many of our funerals. The meal. Now, the devil talks in his own way about the Blessed Sacrament, and he is trying also to bring another language in such a way that it is seen not to be what it is. In fact, a Protestant language coming in is far more than a meal. The Blessed Sacrament is the presence of God on earth, and that should have consequences. Treat it as something human, and we know what happens, and that is actually the victory that we have seen with the enemy. Our churches are becoming places of human assembly. The applause is given to man, and God is crowded out by noise of talking, laughter, profanation. Is fecit cui prodest. He did it to whom it serves. The Rosary. He is trying his best to get out of the hands of the simple people, the little people, this terrible weapon. He confesses, he admits it is a weapon against him. If one applies a blessed rosary to a possessed person, that person howls and screams as that person would for a relic of the true cross. We know how powerful the rosary is and how he can't bear it, so make sure that it's not prayed in families, and if it's prayed at all anywhere, that it must be badly said. Cover the name of Jesus, let the other part come in before they finish their first part. Whiz through it, let it not be a prayer but an insult to our Blessed Lady. At Carabandal, we know the speed at which they said it in ecstasy because it was taped. It's very slow. Heaven is addressed calmly, intelligently. A prayer which is worth saying well. The interventions of our Blessed Lady, which he can't pronounce because he doesn't use the word Mary, he uses some other circumlocution, usually an insult, that wicked woman, and so on. All these interventions, apparitions of our Blessed Lady, he can't bear at all. Hence we can be sure that he'll try to demolish Medjugorje and the like. He hates Our Lady with a perfect hate. He was once the most brilliant creature, so envy and jealousy and hatred are there, for she has taken his place as the most glorious of creatures. And he is to be crushed by her weakest part, her heel, the Immaculate. He can't bear it. And he can't bear either that prayer groups should have a Blessed Lady in the midst. Make them as Protestant as they possibly can be. Let there be one Protestant present, and he's got his victory for getting out of the way the Rosary, our Blessed Lady, the Blessed Sacrament, all the rest of it, the sign of the cross. Let them be ecumenical, and thereby he's got them. Now, the ecumenical movement in itself is healthy and good, for we have more in common with our baptized brethren than we have with the enemies of Christ. But the truth in its totality remains the truth in its totality, and we have to be careful not to sacrifice that truth. Correctly understood, it can be a source of healing. Incompletely understood, it can wreck what we have. Obedience to that man dressed in white, disunity in the church. And now we have much aggression, tones of violence between Christians, between tendencies. The internet is full of unpleasant blogging. It's a word we don't have to have in our soul. The Gospel and the Blessed Sacrament are more peaceful. Let's not spend our time in camps and aggressive modes. Those little servants, those who go into monasteries, still virgins and cover themselves with modesty and hiddenness. He can't bear these convents where the Lord is well served. He can't bear them because they're doing harm to his kingdom. Adoration and much love and reparation and penance, they are weapons against him. So he tries best to extract from monasteries all that makes them a nuisance unto him. They must have a function. And he can't bear exorcists, so he makes sure that bishops don't appoint them. How many exorcists are available actually in some countries? It's very hard indeed to get hold of one. In Italy it's more easy. There are still quite a few there, and they operate well. You have to have a team, of course. There was one curious exorcism which was carried out in Germany between August and September of 1975. It turned out that the voice of Judas could be heard, and one was puzzled to see that there could be priests and bishops in the wrong end of eternity. There are, deep in the depths, some depths so deep that puzzlement alone remains when they are heard upon our stage to rant. We mortals peep into a world forgot, whence ne'er a word returns to let us know what land was found by pilgrim and by pilgrim passing on. And on, and on, where onwards has no bound. For ghosts can journey long from works ill done. And I thought not that Judas came again upon our land to meddle, or that one long silent had a voice, wherein from pain untold the old fiend in damned fun would giggle at the high credulity of mitred heads that belched eternity.